Hi, everyone. Well, I want to welcome you to Mindset Mastery. Tonight is especially exciting for me. I have Vanessa Talbot. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's here with us all the way from Australia. And I have to tell you, as smart as I thought I was getting our time zone right, I'm so sorry. We had a bit of a mix up between Wednesday, Thursday, who's where. So sorry about that. Thanks for accommodating tonight. I'm so excited to speak with you.
That's all right. I just shifted something. It wasn't hard.
That's
It happens.
awesome.
It happens between the US and Australia because I'm Thursday, you're Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. And I really thought I had it right, but just when your best intentions are there, it didn't work out. So
That's all right.
yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to speak with you. I'm part of your wonderful group, by the way, um, that I just love. Now, usually we have a chat box on the side, but I'll put, um, I love your group coaches. Now, let me get the name right here because I love it so much. I would hate to say it wrong. Coaches, authors, entrepreneurs step into the spotlight, which, by the way, congratulations on 9,100 people. That's no small feat.
Yeah, so we did 8,000 in 12 months, which is pretty good going. There's other groups that move much faster, but I really like my group. I like to keep, conversations going, the spam down as much as possible. So it's not just a place to post and run. I like people to get in there and have some time to interact with one another as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that is so interesting about the group is that there's a lot of people that are really engaged and they're from like different backgrounds. They offer different experience and it's a really fun group to be part of. So I'm excited that you're here with me because you are a business and profile building strategist. So how did you come about doing that?
Well, I started out in coaching. Well, I'll do you the quick rundown of the life story of how I got into coaching in the first place. When I was married, I ran a big business in the mining industry with my husband at the time.
Right.
And then when we got divorced, that was the mining industry, you make a lot of big money, big income. And I had built this country property, which I'm in right now, with lots of horses, and I did my wildlife caring, and I only worked a few days a week, so I had heaps of spare time. Then when we got divorced, I got chucked out of the company. It was either go and work in 9 to 5, join the rat race,
Right.
which I didn't want to do. Then I wouldn't be able to be home with my animals and do the wildlife caring as well, which is my side passion. So I thought, well, I've got all this experience behind me in building a large business, which is what we did with the mining company, just build it within 16, 17, 18 months into a multi-million-dollar company. I thought I'll go and do coaching because I'd always been into personal development. And I started out and not demeaning it by any means, but I started out doing the life coaching, transformational coaching, even success coaching for business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And then along the way, I just started mixing and drawing people who were what we in Australia would be, mid-range celebrities, so not massive big names. I just started learning from them, and they were teaching me a lot and about media and also their mindset as well, like when they were down in the dumps and then how going through the audition phase and having big social media accounts and how they were doing it. And I just really enjoyed working with them and mixing with them. And because I was also a mentor and a trainer at the Coaching Institute, I thought, well, coaches need this. There's a lot of coaches out there, life coaches, business coaches, you name it, that are just fading into the background and not having a business because they can't get lift off. So I took what those celebrities were teaching me and what I learned from watching them and decided, well, coaches can do exactly the same thing, which coaches were not really thinking about it in that way, They're just thinking, I'm just going to sit at home and wait for the phone ring and get clients. I might do a bit of networking and then hopefully I'll get some clients as well. And there's more to it than that. So that's how over a period of 5 years, I moved from shifting from transformational life coaching into being a profile building strategist for coaches now.
That's wonderful. And you're so right. It is absolutely something that people underestimate how much they need it. And, creating a presence online is so much different than meeting someone in person, because in person you can tangibly feel the energy. You can look the person in the eye, but when you're online, you really need to have that trust built. So it's great that you do this kind of work. How much do you think your background in transformational coaching helps you with the profile build?
Yeah, quite a bit. Because, you know, a lot of people have got fears and insecurities about actually, I say, stepping out into the spotlight, which is really just standing out from the crowd. I don't know what it's like in America, but here in Australia, we have what we call tall poppy syndrome, which if anyone sort of stands out too much, we feel this need to make sure that they come back to us, you know, or else they're getting their ego too big, or that. So we make sure we cut them down. So in Australia, there's a culture of that we have to get past as well. So there's a lot of fear, particularly for the Aussies, about standing out in case you get cut down, and the way that they can cut you down can be quite brutal. So having that transformational coaching, life coaching background really does help me with when I'm working with clients on that aspect too, on the mindset part of it, to put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think that's so great. And in Canada, we have this habit. I know you've probably heard we apologize for everything. We really do. And there's not much, I think there would be a similar type thing. It's not so much that if we stand out, people are going to cut us down. We're not willing to stand out in the first place. You kind of have to blend in around here, unless you're a really good hockey player. That's the only way you want to take profile. Which my son is, so I'm lucky. But if we're, looking to branch out and have an opinion that's kind of contrary to the grain, you're looked at troublemaker, a complainer, or, someone that just wants their ego stroked. So it's probably, it's a flip side. It's not necessarily that someone's going to take us down. We're just not willing to do it in the first place. So
yeah.
You said you've been doing this, it was a transition over 5 years. That's so fantastic. Now tell me a little bit also about the wildlife caring that you do. I've seen the fantastic pictures of your bunnies and your kangaroos. So tell us about that.
Well, the bunnies are not technically wildlife.
Yeah, right. They're domesticated, right?
But I do have lots of rabbits. I have 10 rabbits, so they're my pets. But the wildlife caring, I have the kangaroos at the moment. So here in New South Wales, where I live out in the country. But New South Wales, to be a wildlife carer, you have to be registered with something like WIRES, which is a wildlife rescue service, and then you can take in orphaned or injured wildlife. For Aussie wildlife, of course, it's kangaroos, wombats, koalas, all sorts of different birds, even snakes, possums, you name it. And you get to be able to nurse them back to health, or if they're babies when they come, obviously get them to a point where you can release them. But the whole aim of it is not to keep these animals as pets, it's to release them back where they came from, which is the wild. And that's what we want to do, to make sure that they're out there. So I've done that for probably about 10, 11, 12 years. And as I said, that's why I wanted to make sure that when I didn't have the company anymore, that I could keep that lifestyle, so that I could, because right now, if I don't want to work today and I've got an animal come in care, I can go and tend to it.
Yeah,
I'm not stuck
so great.
in a 9-to-5 job. So it allows me that freedom and that lifestyle that I created and I wanted to keep. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so great.
You on Facebook, you'll see my pictures of my kangaroos. I have 4 at the moment. That's 2 mums and 2 babies. And plenty of birds and that come as well. So we get heaps of them.
That's so great. I absolutely love animals. I think that they have so much more to teach us than a lot of people believe or understand at this point. And as far as, some people might not be able to make the leap with us, but what do you think you've learned from taking in a wild animal like that and nurturing them back to a state where they can go back to their wild?
The reason I got into it in the first place was just because of my love for animals, and I wanted to give back in some way. And a lot of people give back to human services. Do you know what I mean? Like human type stuff. For me, my love for animals was greater. So that's where I wanted to contribute. And what I learned is just resilience, I think, because when you do wildlife caring, I'll be very honest, you only win 50% of them. So some of the animals come in and they're quite critical when they come in, and we don't win with them all. We will lose them. And in the beginning, that was really hard to lose an animal, you know, and you get very emotional, and you also think, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? At the end of the day, you know, if there's nothing you can do about a situation, you just have to pick it up and move on to the next one. And if you couldn't have helped the last one, you can help the next one. And I think that's pretty much, you know, in life and in business as well, with clients and people. Not every client or potential client we're going to be able to help. Don't feel bad. Just pick it up and move on and feel good about what you can do. And that, I think, is what they taught me, not to get hung up on the losses, but to keep moving forward and concentrating on the wins. So I had some big losses. My first wildlife animal that came in was a flying fox. So you won't get them in Canada, or anyone from the US who might be listening as well. You won't get the flying foxes, but that was my first big loss, and it was my first one coming in and losing a baby flying fox. I just totally did the wrong thing because I didn't know what to do. But I had to jump back on the horse, so to speak, and even though I was scared about taking on new animals after that, because that was my first one, I did, and then I had wins. And I think it's the same in business and life too. You got to focus on the wins and not your losses. Just move on.
That is absolutely great advice. And it's so funny, you know, I asked that question knowing that there was going to be a link to business and life. When we are not willing to see, it's not even that we're not willing, but if we're focusing on the losses or the times we're told no, or, you know, we have a client and it doesn't work out, that's all we're going to see. But as soon as you turn your attention to, I did my best and here I am focusing on what the potential is for the future, your horizon opens up so much more. And it's the same thing. If you had closed down with the first fox you had, you wouldn't be able to nurse the other ones that you had brought into your care after that. That's so wonderful.
No, I could have given up after that first one because I was so in love with flying foxes. And so my first animal that came in was the animal of my dream, a flying fox, you know, like mad on them. And it was a baby, and I didn't realize it was a baby. So I'm trying to feed it fruit when it should have had milk. And so it ended up dying.
Right.
And you know, I could have said, that's it, I'm hopeless at this. What a failure. But I didn't. And it's taught me that to just, you know, you'll win some, you'll lose some, but you just got to focus on the wins and keep on going.
Yeah, I love that. That's so absolutely great. And it's so true. You're going to win some. You're not going to win others, but there's always lessons you can learn as well. That's so great. And obviously it's working now if you've been doing it for 12 years. I mean, that's wonderful.
Well, as I said, it's about 50-50, you know, 50% of them I'll lose, but I don't focus on the losses. I'm focusing on the ones that I get to raise and get put back in the wild, or, you know, I mend a broken wing and they can fly again and I can release them. That's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at it that way, I mean, look at the 50% you helped. And if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be. Yeah.
And you know what? You learn from every loss as well. So like everyone that I've lost, I've learnt something from it. You know, so with the flying fox, I learnt what a baby flying fox looks like and that they need milk. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. And it's the same in business, of course, isn't it? If we're smart enough to learn from our mistakes, we're going to lessen the amount of mistakes that we make as we progress along.
Yeah, that's a really interesting segue. If you think about the idea, if we learn from our mistakes, but the other thing is that when someone is so focused on the mistake or who to blame for that mistake, we're absolutely closed down and not able to see the potential of what that mistake actually brought us. And, you know, I happen to have a personal philosophy. It's, you know, based on a lot of research, but the universe, spirit, God, whichever you prefer to use, does not offer us challenges to make us fail. It's really either a lesson that we haven't learned that we need to learn something more from, or a way to move forward that we hadn't considered before. What do you think about that whole idea? The idea that, you know, a failure is not a failure.
No, it's never a failure because there's always something. I mean, you know, if I look back at my business, I've made so many mistakes. you can either wrap yourself up and go, I can't do this anymore, or just say, okay, so I'm learning from them. And, over the 5 years, it's just getting better and better and better. So I think that's what you need to concentrate is, learning on them. So I would never use that word failure when it comes to my business or anything, because I don't feel that anything that I've done that's been what we might like to call a mistake is actually a failure, because it's not.
Right.
It's just all growth. And, I'm right on you with that one.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And if we are open to that, then we can see it so much faster. We can move forward and we can not repeat it again. I've worked with a few people or talk with a few people. It's not true I wouldn't work with them because I would recognize it. But the people that are really in the blame game and who only see, oh, well, it was their fault and they didn't tell me this. And you're really not getting any further ahead. Yeah, it sucks when, something bad happens. But if you can focus on how to move forward from that, and even if you're investing in something that doesn't give you back what you had, if you focus on the ways that, okay, maybe I need to set different boundaries, I need to listen to my instinct a little bit differently, whatever it is, there's an opportunity to learn from that. When you're working with your clients, what is the biggest block or the most common thing that comes up for people building their profile?
I've got nothing to say that would interest anyone is a big one. I don't, it's scary out there. So the biggest thing is being scared to actually have a voice and put your message out there. And the reason for that is because most people are worried what other people are going to say. Or one I get a lot too is that they'll see I'm not as good as them, so they'll pull me up as a fraud. I'll get found out. That's another one. So those are the major ones. And I remember I started out with authors. And the thing with most of the authors that would come through was, I've been told I've got to have a following and build an author platform, but I'm too shy for that. All I really want to do is write. I don't care about all this, being a public figure stuff. And yet my publisher tells me that's what I've got to do to be able to sell books. But they don't want to do it because they're introverts, a lot of people, or just scared about what people are going to say. So they're the major things. Without realizing the plus side to being seen and heard is that you'll sell more books.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fine if you just want to write, but if you want to sell anything, you got to get out there, right?
That's right. You can sit home and write all you want.
Yeah, go for it. You just won't make very much money on it. If you don't need to eat, that's okay.
That's right. If you don't have anyone wanting to or being interested in what you are that's writing, you'll be writing a long time and not actually getting that message out there.
So true. I think J.K. Rowling has a story about that too. She didn't want to be out there at all and resisted. And look at her. She's a billionaire right now. So it's interesting what can happen when we shed all of the inhibitions that we carry with us, and many of it, not even our own, really.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another one that comes through a lot, not so much with the men, but particularly with the women, is I don't look good enough.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
To be in the profile, to be out there in the public eye, I don't look good enough, and that's a big one. I don't get that with men, nah. It's mainly the women that come up with that one. So they feel they have to look a certain way before they're willing to put themselves out there as well. So they pull back on doing video, having nice pictures taken, all that sort of stuff. So they pull back on showing their face because they feel it doesn't look good enough. When the reality is it's not so much about what you look like. People are responding not to your looks. They're responding to what they can get from you, like the message that you have and how it makes them feel, and whether it, ticks something in them that makes them either make some changes. That's what they're responding to. At the end of the day, it's not about your looks.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, I worked with one of my clients. She's a fantastic nutritionist. And at the beginning of our time together, same thing. She wasn't willing to put herself out there. She had a message that was different than most nutritionists because she was very, She drank wine, she ate chocolate, she had steak. She's like, most nutritionists don't do all that. They're vegan and they're whatever. Yeah. And I said, well, sure, but I'm not going to be the one to hire that nutritionist. I want someone that's, can fit into my lifestyle, that's going to kind of work. So it was a really interesting process for her, because it wasn't just that she was, in this case, female, but it was also because she was going against the trend of the market that she was in. So when you're working with your client, resistant factors come up. What are some of the key points that you tell them to help them push through that?
So most of all, you've got to focus on the life-changing that you make. So if you continue to hide, there's no way you're going to have that impact that you actually want to have for other people. There's no way you're going to be able to contribute to other people. There's no way you're going to be able to help the people that you want to help. If they can't see you, or they don't know what you're about and how you can help them, you're not going to be able to do it. So the loss is yours and theirs, just because, you don't want to put yourself out there. So it's focus on the bigger gain, and it's your gain, but also the gain that you're giving to other people as well, that they'll miss out on. And that's the important thing, to focus on that, the gain.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a really great message for people. I might even write that down, so I'm going to quote you later for that. When you're working with people, getting them to focus on the gain. The other thing that's really important about that message, and I really think that I feel that in your group, and I feel that for your clients, when you're connecting with people on a way that's true to you, it's a deeper and more true connection. Do you feel that that's part of the story as well?
Do you mean like people just being themselves and when they're connected to each other? Yeah. So, I mean, I guess there can be, people have a view that they have to be a certain way to make it in the public eye, so to speak, or to build that profile. And just because, Tony Robbins is a certain way, or so-and-so is a certain way, they might feel they need to, look and have a certain way. But at the end of the day, people will pick you up if you're being fake. They'll pick you up on it. They'll discover it within you eventually. So the best way is just to totally just be you.
Yeah.
That's, and there's something unique in you, and that's part of what I do. One of my talents is finding what's very unique in each person that comes to me. So even if they do have the same message or doing the same work as hundreds and thousands of others, there will be something very special and unique about that one person that we can bring out to show that will make that person stand out. You talked about your nutritionist. She had that one special thing that was unique about all the other nutritionists, and that's what we look for. And that's just being authentic. Every one of us has got something unique and special about us that's different.
Yeah, that's so true. And people can read the energy when you're not living from that space. And it's, easy for us to say, because, we're teaching and mastering that. But when you're, anybody who's going through this, you can tell if someone's being authentic and if they're really there for you. If you're talking to someone and they're like, well, let's stick with the nutritionist example. You should eat vegan, and here are some recipes, but they don't really live and breathe and eat them themselves. People are going to know. They're not going to buy that at all, because it's not your message.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some cases out here in Australia in the last 12 months about a nutritional blogger getting herself into a lot of trouble, making a lot of claims, and putting a front that really wasn't what was happening for her at all. And she got found out. Terrible publicity about the whole thing. So, just be true. You don't have to make anything up because you've got everything within you that's going to suit everyone. I mean, one of the things about me that I find people really enjoy, which is different than maybe a lot of the other people that do visibility work like I do, but people like to hone in on the fact that, I just live in the country. I'm a real nature earth girl, and I'm quite shy as well. And then I spend most of my time with animals rather than people. So for the people that are shy themselves and introverts, they get to go, well, if she can step out into the spotlight when she needs to, I can too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to be all time.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really great comparison to make. And for anyone that's joining us online, for some reason the chat box on the side is not up tonight on my end anyhow, so I can't see if anyone's popping in and out. We will be opening it up for questions at the end, so you can pop on the video with us. I think that's a really great point. What do you think is the reason we carry all of these inhibitions around with us? Where do you let them look or lead them to help them uncover it?
My work, when I do have that, that reluctance in them to put them out there, a lot of it will stem from, childhood, what they were told, what they were led to believe they had to be, So a lot of it will come from that most times. And then, of course, I find that just doing it, doing it gradually tends to ease that. I do inner work with them, so I might use a bit of NLP or some matrix or something like that. So for coaches out there will know all that, of course. So we might use some of that, regressions. And, just as a little thing of interest, I might even, if it's really stuck, we can't shift it, I might even do some past life regressions to see if we can take it even back further, to see where this is coming from. So there's plenty of tools to help you, but even once you discover where it comes from, it's not usually, all of a sudden I can just throw myself out into the spotlight now. It is more a case of, okay, now I just learned to accept that's where that came from. Now I understand it, and now I can go out, put myself in the light, and just know that I'll be able to build this bit by bit. So I find it's them gradually doing it. So starting out doing small videos.
Yeah.
Or even just putting their face on social media first more, and getting people to interact with their face. Just stuff like that. It's the gradual move.
Absolutely. And I really love that. And I sense, you haven't said it specifically, but I sense this is something that you do. The way that you're getting them to put themselves out there is really something that they can be comfortable with and build on. I had someone that I spoke with, and their marketing guru that they were working with had some really great ideas, but what they were asking her to do was to do videos about her morning, getting her son ready for school, and having breakfast, and just little things to show them more than just her business life. And she was a lawyer, so she was very used to a professional setting. And she's like, nobody wants to see me have breakfast. I don't want to show people having breakfast. So, one of the things that we talked about was more or less you having breakfast, but what about some casual setting that you have? What if you have this brilliant idea in the afternoon, flip on the camera and do a quick video about it? How does that feel? And now she's doing them all the time because it felt, better for her. And I really like that you talked about putting themselves out there gradually, because it's not an all or nothing. You can try something and then back off if you don't like it.
Exactly. And one of the easiest ways to start putting yourself out there is just the good old selfie, and wherever you are for the day, and take a selfie and just here I am having lunch today type of thing, and put it up in your on your business page, because people do want to see more than your business face. They do want to see more than your logo. So you do need to get out from behind your logo and show you as a personality. But it's just simple things. Whatever you're doing for the day, just click a selfie and have the background of what you're doing. And people kind of really like that because they're getting to connect with you on that level. So they're seeing beyond.
Yeah, that is such a great selfies all the time. And the Kardashians, or I don't know if you Kardashians over there, but I did a selfie challenge actually for people. And the people that signed up were not people I thought would sign up at all. Go figure that I would have my views about who would sign up. And they loved it. They ended up putting up selfies that they never saw themselves doing. And some of them are now using them as their profile picture and all this other stuff, because it's liberating to put yourself in a real way and not think you have to be perfect every time.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I have some doozy pictures, that I've got. But the reality is this is me. I'm just at home and I'm not dressed up. I've just been out with the animals, just come straight inside, sit down. It's nice to have the professional photographs, but it's also really nice to present the other side of you as well, because for most of us, we're both.
Yeah, that's so true. As much as I like my high heels and good looking watches and having everything all placed, it doesn't happen all the time.
That's right. I mean, I love to get my sparkles on. I love it, and a lot of my photos will reflect that. But then you'll see a lot of my home style photos, which is me just slopping around the house with the kangaroos or out with the horses. So it's good to allow people to see that contrast in you. And to be very honest, when they get to feel that you're letting them into your personal life, they will feel more connected with you, because you are letting down and you are letting them into your personal life. And we only let good friends and that come into our personal life, don't we? Yeah. So you can see how that works on that emotional level for your followers to feel more connected to you as well. Yeah, now, obviously, you only show what you want to show, but make sure that you're letting them in with you. Some people have a thing about whether they're going to show their children or not. That's up to you personally. I quite happily show my daughter. I don't show my partner a lot, but I show my daughter. Some people want to show their kids, other people don't. Up to you what you show, but just allow people to have that connection with you.
Yeah, that is so true. And some of the posts that are the most popular are the ones, show me your selfie or show me your pet or, just things that have nothing to do with business.
Yeah. In my group, if I say, what you're doing today, show a picture of what you're up to today, the best responses from other people too, looking in, come from, oh, your dog's so cute, or look at your baby, or oh, you look like you're having fun type thing. So you get more comments from other people too. So it's the step to do. If you think all the video making and going out speaking and all the networking is too hard, start there with the selfies.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a great point for a lot of people listening. And is there a big difference for you working with male clients and female clients?
Yeah, they are a bit different, to be honest. Yeah, they are. The females are the ones that will have more hang-ups about their looks and putting themselves out there, like I'm too old, or, I don't look like a model and all this stuff. The men don't seem to have that. The men are more... They're more, what do the men get more hung up about? The men might get more hung up about their self-worth, as in, am I good enough for this? But it's not about their looks. It's more, can I compete with the other guys in this industry type thing? And we take out the whole competitive edge and just let them do their own thing, and that works much better. Because the minute they think they're having to compete, men naturally are competitive most of the time. So they go in there with a competitive energy, and that can wear them down very quickly if they feel they're not getting anywhere, and these other guys, that have been in the industry a lot longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the difference between them. The women can have a bit of that, but for the most part, for the women, it is about looks and being cut down.
Yeah. I love that. That's really great. And it's important to recognize between male, female, and these are generalizations, of course, and everybody fits into that, of course. Disclaimer here. But I also think that I have 3 daughters and a son, and one of the things that I talk about, and I'm sure you do with your daughter, is and 2 of my twins want to be models. And we talk about the fact that, I don't look, they've never said this, thankfully. I'm really lucky this way. I don't look like this, or, some of the women will say, well, I don't look like a model, or I don't look like this TV personality. Listen, honey, neither do they. No, there's so much. I feel the tide changing, right? There's a lot more women willing to put themselves out there, like Amy, I'm going to get her name wrong, but she did the picture of herself and she said, absolutely do not Photoshop me. There's a lot more of that happening. So I think it's a really great change. The Dove commercials that, but real men supposedly out there, that's a great thing. And then for the men, I think that's so great. If you can get rid of not rid of, because I think it's important to still have it, but, soften or let go of the competitive edge. And then the true gifts that they offer come through. That's so important. That's so great that you help them recognize that.
Yeah, I think they get caught up in the competitive. Well, really, they just have to focus on their own drive. So their own drive and their own ambition, and not really care what the others are doing. You know, like, yes, you keep an eye on what other people are doing just because you might get inspiration or just be aware of what others are doing. But at the end of the day, just focus on your own drive and ambition and what you want to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. But being really, you know, worrying about the competition is just going to end up squashing you at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, each of us are on our own journey and our own path, and some people do it quicker than others. But of course, that's where, to make it a bit quicker, get some help. But each path is different. We need to throw competitiveness out and just concentrate on what you want to achieve and how you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, you know, the idea that if you want to get there quicker, get some help. Tell me a little bit more about that and how important coaching has been in your life and how much it's impacted the clients you work with.
Yeah, so when I finished with the mining company, and I went and did coach training, so it was quite a long course. It was like about 18-month course, and no sooner did I go in for our intake training, I came out and I realised that my head was an absolute mess because I was still going through the divorce processing, and was trying to do all this new coaching training, and I didn't have a clue what to do or how to get through it. So I just hired a coach, just straight up. Just thought, I'm going to hire myself a coach. I didn't hire a business coach. I hired a life coach just to help me with my head through. And I'll tell you a little something. That intake weekend, there was about 30 of us that did that particular month's intake weekend. They do it each month at the coach training facility I went through. Of that 30, there's 2 of us. And this from 5 years ago. There's only 2 of us that are actively still coaching and have businesses from that intake weekend.
Oh, that's so interesting. And do you know if the other person hired a coach?
Yes, yes, he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's something that, you know, there's been a little bit of chatter online, not so much in your group, but I've seen it in others, you know. I'm particularly in women's groups, although I work with both, but, you know, talking about the claims of 6 figures in 90 days or, you know, whatever the claims are, these big claims and stuff. And a lot of them are particularly upset or they don't want to see it anymore or whatever it is. And, you know, I'm of a split mind. You know, if that person doesn't resonate with you, move on and find the person that it does. But that shouldn't be a reason to be upset with whatever price a coach charges if they back it up with value for money. And I really think that it is the difference between someone achieving what they want to achieve and not achieving it. In every book I've read, I read a lot of bios on people and research a lot of successful people in all walks of life, not just coaches, but every one of them has a mentor, a coach, someone that they look up to, someone that they go get advice for. Think and Grow Rich says to set up a mindset or a mastermind group. You know, it's been written since, you know, when was Think and Grow Rich written? You know, a long time ago. Yes, absolutely. So it's not a new idea. What do you say to people who resist the whole idea? Well, I just hired a coach or I just worked with someone. You know, what is the general message about that?
About continuing to work with coaches.
Yeah.
So my thought about it is that you won't need the same type of coach the whole way through. So when I started out, this is just myself personally, but when I first started out as a coach and I was going through the divorce, I had to hire a mindset life coach to get me through all that stuff. But I don't need that now. But now I'm hiring now people who are going to teach me more about Facebook ads and all that different sort of stuff. So you will, on your journey, probably require different type of coaches for different things throughout. So it's just hire who you need and what you need at the time. And there's been, you know, stages of my time when I haven't hired anyone. I think I went for about 2 years and I didn't hire anyone because it just didn't feel that there was anything pressing that I needed at the time. But instead of trying to struggle, you know, get the help when you need it. When you find that you need that extra help, just go and get it. And a lot of people come down to obviously money. I can't afford it. But if you look at it this way, most coaches will allow a payment plan anyway. Yeah. And you will start making more when you're getting that extra help and guidance, and you'll be able to pay along the way. So think about it that way. You know, the benefits, you'll actually make the money to pay for your coach in, you know, a lot of occasions. Not all. We can't say that's going to happen every time.
Yeah, I think
But it's a way
true.
of looking at it.
Yeah, that's so great. And, you know, somebody posted this in one of the groups. It was a meme about Beyonce overnight sold out her world tour, and tickets are quite considerable for some of her seats. Obviously, it's Beyonce. And, you know, the quote was, I'm sure some of these people didn't have the money until she put her tickets on sale and they found it. So, you know, it's that idea that if it's important to you, if you see the value, if it's something that you absolutely want to do, you find a way to do it. And, you know, I'm certainly not someone that pressures people into sales, you know, especially around mindset work. And I'm sure it's the same for you. If they're not going to be all the way in for building a profile and, you know, putting themselves out there, you can't do a whole lot with that. So, you know, the money attached to it doesn't come with a good energy. What is some of the things that when you're clients, you help them understand about their profile? Like, what is the benefit to increasing your profile besides being seen and increasing your money? What are some of the other backdoor or behind the scenes benefits from doing that?
From increasing your profile, besides from bringing more clients, more leads. One of the good things, you know, aside if we're not just talking clients and leads, one of the good things is more opportunities. So, you know, because you know me and you've seen me around, here I am talking to you today. If you didn't know me, I wouldn't be here. And then, you know, whoever else gets to see this, they won't know me, but all of a sudden I'm expanding my reach to them because they're getting to see me. If I'm hiding away, you know, behind a logo, nobody's getting to see me. So one of the things about increasing your profile really is expanded opportunities, you know, and the things that can come, you know, I've had them and they get out of the blue, get asked to do big speaking engagements because someone has heard something that they've said or they've made some posts or they've been following and they say, you'd be perfect, can you come and speak? And all of a sudden they're getting a paid speaking gig, which is, you know, maybe not what they kind of thought they would get straight up. So it's about those extra expanded opportunities, which at the end of the day just bring back to you reaching more and more people with your message and your work. So helping more people.
Yeah, that's so great. And the other thing is that, you know, along with that and expanding the opportunities, I know that if you're going to recommend someone to be on this show, for example, I'm going to pay attention and ask them. In fact, I did. You recommended 2 or 3 people. I've interviewed one and a few more coming up in the next few weeks. So the same thing, even if you hadn't been on my show, because you had built a profile in your group and you led that in such a authentic way, I trust what you're going to recommend to me, what you're going to say to me. And I wouldn't even hesitate if I knew someone that needed, you know, profile building. I would be someone that would recommend you, right? And I've never worked directly with you, right? But that's a secondary benefit of it. I love that that idea, and it's something that people don't necessarily think about right away.
Yeah, and I mean another thing too, other than the expanded opportunities, is an increase in confidence as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go into this being really uncomfortable with no confidence whatsoever, and you will actually feel your personal growth and your confidence growth as you continue to do your profile building activities, connect with more people, because the more and more people that people are starting to get your message, that's just building your confidence that you actually have something that other people appreciate and want. And if you're not getting any kudos for that, you know, you'd be sitting there at home going, nobody wants this, when it's actually not true. But if you put yourself out there, you will realize that it's true. So that confidence building comes with it. And we all know what happens when you have a bigger confidence. You just draw more because you become more magnetic. So it's a snowball. It just doesn't stop once you start.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? That's another important an important distinction. You were working in transformational coaching before, which has built you to a place where you're offering this kind of profile building for business and personal life. And I think that is, you know, such a beautiful thing. And people, you know, at first might think, well, I need the transformational coaching, or vice versa, right? They might think, oh, I just need the profile boost. But actually that's all kind of intertwined. And, you know, the idea of putting ourselves out there. Yeah, it's so true. And I really like that, when I work with people, I like to hear that they have some experience. They might have started out in one area of coaching, they've moved to another. That's great, because we grow as well as coaches. We might evolve into something that's different. When I started, I was talking about being Superwoman and how did I get through everything I juggled in my life. But, ultimately that's not the kind of coach that I want to be, but that might be something I draw from in order to help my clients.
Yeah. Well, just in my own personal growth, I started out, very shy, and I am very shy, and I'm very much a hermit, and I'm not I'm not one to want to be around a lot of people all the time. So you would think, how the hell does she does it? Because everyone goes, oh, when I meet you, you don't seem that way at all. But that's just because I've grown in confidence about when I can step into a room, what I can do in that room. So when I first started out, I couldn't even step into the room for my coaching intake weekend. There were like about 30 people in that room, and it took everything within me to step into that room full of unknown people. That was 5 years ago. Couldn't do it. I couldn't go to any networking events. I remember getting on the phone to my coach in tears because I couldn't get in the car to drive to that networking event and go into a room full of strangers with people who didn't know me, because how would I be able, nobody would talk to me. That was my thought. Nobody's going to talk to me. I'm just going to stand there looking like an idiot. Yeah. So that's the growth within 5 years.
Absolutely. Or worse, they would talk to you.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's so true. I mean, I think that's a beautiful part of your story. And, people want to hear that. They don't want to hear that you're like this perfect coach that has always coached perfectly and has done it right from the beginning. There has been some trial and error. There's been some growth, and it's not even trial and error. Just, I've tried things and I've changed the way I did it because of this reason or whatever. It makes you more human.
Yeah. Well, if there's, even now, I'll be very honest, even now, if I go into a big room and there's a cat in the room, I'll go straight to the cat first.
I love it. The cat probably appreciates it because they're like, oh, finally a cat person's here. That's so great. There's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I think that's what makes it so beautiful, is that, in connecting with people, when you connect with people that are different than you, you learn from them, you can draw from them. There's different things that we can pull in for each other, experiences that we can share that maybe in common or make us think in a different way. Often there'll be people that have a different view than I do, because I'm quite open in my thoughts, or I think I am. Sometimes I realize I'm not. But when someone has a point of view that's different than mine, I like that. I'm like, ooh, okay, let me think about this for a minute. Maybe there's something I need to learn about myself or about that situation that I hadn't thought of. When you're talking about building people's profile, and there are different ways of doing it, do you often have a lot of resistance in, well, that's not the way that this person did it, or they're on this social platform? Do you have any of that, or people are just really, you probably choose to pick the people that are very open to? Yeah.
So I haven't worked with anyone yet, and I don't expect to either, that says, this is the way I want to do it because so-and-so did it that way. What I do is we sit down, and the first thing we do is just work out what their unique message is, what their unique style is going to be, so what is intently them, and then the best platform, or where that market is for them, and then the best platforms for reaching that market, and also the platforms that person will feel comfortable with. So, for example, I'm not comfortable on LinkedIn, so I don't do it.
Mm. Yeah.
So what? I'm not missing out on anything, because I'm really comfortable on Facebook, and I do Facebook within my group and within other groups really, really well. So just go with your strengths, and that's the first thing I find out from them, what they're most interested in and their strengths, and then really work on a plan for them. We really set up a plan that they can shift into, and they will be stretched out of their comfort zone. Don't be kidded that you won't. You will.
Yeah. That's good. You need to be. Yeah,
you need to be to make it to shift this along. But because you've got that help and that support, and because it's step by step, it's not a huge great divide. You shift into it, and you know, even my Kickstart Your Influence little mastermind, which is for the beginners, in 8 weeks, they come out of it doing things that they admit that by the end of it, they never thought they'd be able to do. When I first get them in the first days, you know, the first couple of weeks, they're like, you can see them on the screen because we do it via Zoom, so it's video. You can see them, they're all tense, they're really scared. And then when I say video, you can see.
I love that. That's so great. I mean, that's a really great example of how, you know, if you have a really good coach that knows what they're doing, they're going to be able to push you, just like, you know, you explained, you're going to push you out of your comfort zone, but not in a way that shuts you down. I think that's so important when you pick a coach. Because, you know, if a coach is going to coach you how you want to be coached, they're not really doing their job. It needs to be someone that's going to, you know, encourage you to move a little bit further ahead. And I think that's so great. In your group, what is your favorite thing about running such a big group? Because I can't imagine that there has to be a lot of energy that you put into it. I can feel the energy you put into it. But how do you keep that as a motivator instead of something that detracts?
Look, the group, I'll be very honest, there's pros and cons to the size of your group. So the bigger the group, the harder it is to manage. So I do have a bit of help. So my VA comes in and she helps me out with it. But I do put a lot of energy into it because, you know, it's part of my profile building strategy. It's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Not everyone needs to have a big group profile building strategy, but it was the one I chose. And so therefore I stick with it. But I do actually love getting in there and interacting with the people. I really do love it. And just giving that encouragement, seeing what others are doing. And I really like, you know, the best thing about my group is when other people get opportunities through it. So when someone comes in and they put out a call out for guests on their podcasts or something, you know, and then group members get chosen and they get to go on these podcasts, and you can see that they're all getting something from the group in some manner. So that was the aim of it, to make sure people actually get value from it and also get opportunities. And that's probably my biggest joy with that group. It's actually seeing some of the opportunities that come through for some of those people in it. Like when they're asking for guest bloggers and that, they might not be massive opportunities, but every opportunity is an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Gary Vee, I can't pronounce his last name, but you know who I mean. Gary Vee, he talks about that. You know, he used to and still does a lot of low end, I shouldn't say low end, that's not a fair characterization, but shows like this. He'll do really small interviews and stuff. And he said, because that's how I got started. The more comfortable I got, the more message I got out there. And, you know, even if you're reaching 10 people with an authentic message, those 10 people could tell 10 people, and that's 100 all of a sudden.
Yeah. And, you know, when I do Kickstart, as I said, that little 8-week profile one, the people that go through that, I make sure that they've done none of this. They have no clue. And when I set them the task of, you've got to get a podcast this week, they think it's impossible. I say, you've got to be a guest on either an online radio show or a podcast or something. They think it's impossible. And within the week, every one of them has a guest spot, every one of them. And you should see the shift in them because they've had their first guest spot. The shift is massive. You know, It's amazing. Massive confidence booster. It's just the little things like that all start to add up. It's just having that someone say to you, you can do this, and I'll show you how as well. A lot of people come in thinking it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah, absolutely. And exactly. Do you have, and I suffered from this, and, you know, some people will still catch me doing it now. Do you have people that, if it is easy, they resist that because it's supposed to be hard?
You know, I haven't really come across that yet. I'm not saying that. No, not really. I think a lot of them, the ones that are drawn to me, I think, are the ones that really need that extra push and support, so that they think it's all too big for them. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't had anyone that said, "Oh, this is easy," and no, most of them are like, "Oh my God, it's all so hard." Yeah. And absolutely. Even the little can be really, really hard. And it's just showing them that it's not, just shifting them that it's not hard.
Exactly. And it so isn't hard, especially if it's aligned, you know, that I say this, it's aligned with your highest purpose. I may lose some people by saying that, but when it's attached to what you're meant to do, the message you're here to share,
it can be easy. And it, you know, that was a really big lesson for me. I know you said you haven't worked with clients like that, but for me, I was taught all my life that anything you get has to come through hard work. So if you don't work really, really hard for it, then you can't do it. So, you know, I currently still have a day job. I work in government, well-paying job, great benefits. I worked really, really hard to get to the position I was. I didn't always have a degree, which was a deterrent at the time. And when I said I was going to leave this, everyone in my life said, what? No, you work so hard to get there. What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I really love coaching. And they're like, yeah, you've coached all your life. You've coached us, but you can't do that. You can't make a living off doing that because it's easy and it's something that I just do naturally. So why would I be able to make a living from it?
Yeah. Look, I think if you're in tune with what you want, with what you're meant to do and what you really want to do and what your passions are, even if it is hard, it still is enjoyable. So therefore it feels easy. But it's not saying it's easy, but it's easy to do. But I'm not saying that you're going to have instant results. You know, just because you put yourself out there for a month doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to be, you know, raking in dollars like crazy. It's not going to happen that way necessarily.
Yeah.
But enjoy the process because it's in that ease that you'll do the things that you want to do.
Oh, I love that. That's so great. So many people forget, and we get caught up in, you know, the busyness, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, or I have to get ready for the podcast I booked this week because Vanessa encouraged me to do it. But enjoy the process of getting ready for it. That's so great. And you know, what is also great is that we get to do this, and like, you know, you're sitting in beautiful Australia and I'm here in Canada, and there's going to be people that listen to us all over the world. And I think that's so wonderful. Tell me how people can best get in touch with you. I wish I could put it up in the chat. I usually do that on the side, but I'll make sure when I send it out to my mailing list, it includes all your links.
Look, best thing to do is you can either come and join the group if you're not already in there. There's probably a few people that are already in the group will listen into this. So that's, you go to Facebook and just type in coaches, authors, entrepreneurs, step into the spotlight. Should come up fairly easily because it's one of the more larger groups. So I think they tend to come up quite easily. And the other way is you can just go to our website, Extraordinary Beings. Not as in, you know, green beans, but as in
beans, yeah.
Because I'm Aussie, you know, I don't tend to pronounce the beings. I just go Extraordinary Beings. You know?
That's okay. That's good. I mean, either way we search, we might find something we're looking for and not know it.
That's the Aussie, you know, nasal thing coming through. We just go beans. And so I've had people type in extraordinary, you know, beans, using B-E-A-N, chili beans type thing, and they don't find me.
That's funny. Well, you know what? I think that you have one of the most beautiful accents. Australia is one of the places that I can't wait to go to. So it's so great. And, you know, tell us what, I know that you're going to be doing something coming up. Is it Carl Brooks in the group?
Yeah, look, well, if you go to my website, you can download 7 steps to build your profile. So 7 easy steps to boost your profile. So that's a good one. Like, that's just a recording. Download it, have a listen. Those are steps you can do now. And then in the group, Carl Brooks, who's a very talented business coach, and he doesn't like to do the real business. He likes to bring making money, but with heart and soul. So staying true to yourself, not compromising yourself and thinking you have to be a straight out, cruel ass business person.
I love it.
So he comes from that aspect, which is very aligned with me, and you know, I adore him to death. So he said, let's present, you know, 7 strategies to build your coaching business with heart and soul, so that people can get that you can actually make money, but still come from your heart and soul. You don't have to be in here all the time and put on this suit of armor. So we're presenting that webinar next Wednesday. I don't know the date for next Wednesday.
That's okay. Oh, I think I might. Here, hang on. I should be able to do it fast. The 17th. Wednesday the 17th, yes.
I was just thinking Valentine's Day is Sunday, so that's the 14th. So next Wednesday the 17th. And if you're in Canada, I think it's something ridiculous, like 3 a.m. in the morning. So you can just sign up and get the recording for it. You'll get that. Europe, it's noon. In most of Europe, it's around that noon time. And in Australia, it's later at night. So, 9, 10 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. It'll be more 7 if you're on the West Coast. So plenty of opportunity to come on live and listen to it, or at least if you can't, just sign up and you'll get the recording of it. And that's a good thing. Carl just connected with me through the group in the very early days, and we've done a bit of work together. And that's a collaboration that we've got going on now. And that's just, we didn't even know each other beforehand. And we've just grown to know and like one another just through collaborating and meeting each other through that actual group of mine. And that's what I mean, expanded opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so absolutely. He gets access to my peeps, and I get access to his following by doing a joint thing like this, which is the aim of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so great. And you have something, maybe a lot of a similar message, but 2 different aspects to bring to the table. So it's so great. That is so wonderful. Thank you so much. This hour flew by so fast. I can't even believe it's already over. I've had a great time speaking with you. I can't wait to get my little booty down to Australia to do one of your meetups, because I know you do those as well. Anybody who's listening to this live or to the playback, be sure you check out Vanessa's work. I mean, I'm a fan, and although I've never worked with her directly, I absolutely know that if it's something that I need done, that I would go to her and get results. So thank you, Vanessa. Is there any final message that you'd like to leave with the people listening?
Be extraordinary.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's so great. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much. Yes, that's so true. Yeah, no matter what, we all have it. That's so true. Well, thank you. Give extra cuddles to the bunnies for accommodating this. I know you had to shoot them outside.
Yeah, they're outside. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.